Vrzal here. We're going to go ahead and mix her up on the ones and twos. After Nebraska, does not.
Eagles.
On the main game Saturday, in Nebraska, immediate thought reaction takeaway from the game. First half, we got a team that didn't look that wasn't prepared to go into a battle. Team that didn't understand the importance of the situation, in my opinion, and had that debate together. Defense that was very susceptible to a lot of things. And offense at times with great rhythm. It was a great running back. By the way, love the game. Yeah, he was with scattered would be the word that I would use to kind of try and help him. Sean, Jason Johnson, audio for him.
Yeah.
Audio drop. Really here. We're working on it. Looks like Nebraska we're having a rough morning. There you go. Yes, oh, you've got my mom.
Oh, shit.
Mom's in another. We'll get the audio going. Right. You want to take a break? Come back?
Sure.
All right. Everybody hold tight. We're close to coming. So I wonder if I can't do that. I wonder if I have to let it access the mic.
But it's coming. It should be coming from this mic that's on your head.
Right. But what I'm saying is if I tell it I can't. Is there a
leader of that.
Sounds fine on YouTube.
That one guy,
It is all Facebook stuff. Says your mic is what's hot.
Weird. Okay.
Says your
Weird. Okay. Huh.
Says your
Weird. Okay. Huh.
says your
Weird. Okay. Huh.
says your
Weird. Okay. Huh. Oh, you want to switch mics?
Check, mic check. Do you have any sound on yours?
No. Did you have sound in yours?
Check, mic check. I can hear that. I can't hear myself.
How about now?
Yeah. Whatever.
Should we give another run, Verse?
I hope so.
Ready? Take two. We're doing this again. See, this sounds better. I can even hear myself. Let me know if that works in the comments there. Let me know with the comments. Anybody hearing? Head back over to this one and see what's going on. There's far too much technology involved for me right now, so Cam is working on that. I will try not to exhale as deeply into the microphone as that just happened. Audio back. Let me know. All right, we're good. According to everybody, we are good. Cam is an Iowa fan, and he, is probably pissed that Iowa State won. So I feel it's full sabotage effort on his part. It's like, who's got the shittier team?
Not a fun day for the Big Ten yesterday.
Man, you just gotta laugh. Like anymore, it's that point of crazy. To reboot the show. Nebraska loses to Georgia Southern in a game that I don't think was conveyed to the kids, the importance of it. Like that, there was no luxury. There's literally no one that you can look past on that schedule. And all you out there, all of you, every single one of you that all off season told me, oh, this schedule's so easy, sets up so good. Don't anymore. Just don't. That's why I have this shirt on. Told you. You don't have the luxury to take anybody lightly. None. But you told me, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to Georgia Southern. Told you that's a talented team. It's a fast team. It's an aggressive team. It's a coach on a vengeance tour because he thinks he got jammed when he was the head coach before. Then you tell me, yeah, we'll save that one. But there is no easy for us. We make things hard. We do. Look, like I literally don't know the background of it. About lost my mind. 2nd and 5. Don't know what part of the game because I kind of blacked out, not from drinking, from being pissed. The ball has not even been snapped. And the corner walks over and just wants to touch up the receiver. And you're not in a game where you have luxury to make mistake. You don't have that. What? What was that? Why? What point are you proving? What are you getting done there? Nothing is the answer. But overall, I don't think the team knows another opportunity to play. I don't think the full focus. I think they look past it. Georgia Southern, much as teams do, say, I'm your hucklebearer. We're going to figure it out. What you got? Ran the ball when they wanted to, found spots in the defense when they needed to score, they did, or needed to convert, they did. Nebraska, I held out hope when they got a stop later in the game. Okay, here's the stop. Now go score. And in this tennis match of back and forth, take the lead. Right? You got your chance. And then that didn't work out. Offensively, I thought Casey Thompson did a lot of nice things. Ball was on time. There's a couple that were behind throws, but they're college kids. Like he ain't Andrew Luck from college. Ran the ball well for a guy that doesn't run the ball. Really like what Grant does. Really liked AJ. AJ throws a switcheroo on me. I'm thinking that's going to be a fancy Ajay. Nope, just AJ. Just straight up AJ. So AJ Allen, nice job. There was opportunities to do things in that game, and a lot of points scored. 45-42, ball flying all over the yard. It just wasn't. You couldn't have it go that way. You had to be ready. You had to be. Just can't. A well-run organization doesn't have those days. I had a guy, Tommy, I love you to death. You're Grand Island kid. You're 308er just like me. I had a kid trying to sell me last night that it was not an upset. I was like, okay, man. Then he sent me that the Sun Belt is rough. I said, yeah, sure. Great. I mean, no. You are what is left of the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. Do you have pride in your craft? Do you have pride in what you want to do? Do you have pride in what you want to get done? This to me right now is a pride thing. Like, you got guys that go out there on that team, they play their ass off, doing everything as right as can be, and then something will fall apart. It just there's so much. I mean, I know, as I've told many of you, right? Game day in here, pretty chill. Pretty chill. It's a big carry out day for us. We got staff was awesome yesterday. We got carry out pumping all day. Going. And then all of a sudden people come in to start like watching the game. I'm like, oh man, people are nervous. I was like, people are. Usually I could sit in here by myself and just take the game in, which it was great. Everybody was fantastic. But okay. And then there's a lot of, which I gladly will answer. A lot of questions. Hey, what's this? Why is that? Da-da-da-da-da. We had a couple that was about closing time. They're like, we're going to head home. And I'm like, at the start of the fourth quarter, you're going to bounce out and roll. Like, we are in one here. Like, we need this victory probably more than I need this dip in my mouth. But they stuck around, wrote it out, and did not work out. Comments. I got a new thing set up here so I can get comments from both of the YouTube and the Facebook page. So just send in all your questions, send in your comments. This is how this day goes. We've lived this together for quite a while. So I'll put on my part-time psychologist hat. I will try to stay away from my crystal ball turban. That's what mind readers use. Yeah, turbans. Yeah. I'll try to stay away from that thing. FSU Mike is in the chat. By the way, FSU Mike, congrats on a exciting game for your Florida State Seminoles beating LSU. Thankfully, that guy is very tall. Johnny, I thought you'd like that one. I just don't even know where to go. Like I think the Buford kid in the secondary does a good job. That interception he had, I think it was him, number one, the interception he had. Okay, 2. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, electric plays, but in the midst of it, you see the things break down. Those of you that wonder why I'm such a run the ball guy, you saw the flexibility of Georgia Southern and Nebraska's offense to be able to run, which what we used to call play action pass. Now they call RPO. I mean, it's all right there. Once you establish the fact you can control the line of scrimmage, you can run the ball, the passing game gets way, way open. Takeaways from special teams, didn't really have any. The kicker with the arm sleeve, he had enough. It just drifted on him. It's a tough thing with the longer field goal. I think it was what it ended up 52-yard attempt. Try to get that little extra juice in there, and it just pulls it to the left a little bit. But that game, for the longevity of the mental preparation of the University of Nebraska, Lincoln could not go that way. Couldn't happen. That's something that you needed to come out. People think I say in jest when I'm like, oh no, they need to win 70-2. Like I fully believe that. I didn't think Georgia Southern was going to be that game. I thought this should have been, a 14-point, 21-point game. But maybe what you probably have to do is give Helton and his crew a lot of credit. Okay? His kids came in, locked in, central focus. This is what we have to do. It full trust and faith in what their staff had told them would work, will work. And it did work. I'll have to look up yards. Georgia Southern had a day. Gerald Green went 10 carries for 132 yards. Jalen White went 17 for 87. So you got one back averaging 13.2. Another back averaging just a straight up 5 a carry. Not gonna work. Not gonna work in any way, shape, or form. We'll just kind of bounce around because I have no plan. Yeah, it just that one hurt. They all hurt, but that one hurt. Freddie says at least they didn't kick an onside. That is a positive. Ken, congratulations, buddy. Ken is making eggs and bacon for breakfast. This is kind of where we're at with things. Jim says, who will be the interim next month? Yeah. I wish I had more inside info for you on that one. Sean Stone says skill positions on offense. Guys, I gotta stop saying people's last name. Sean says skill positions on offense are helping the team as much as they can. The O-line appears to be mediocre high school line. Again, that surge up front is lacking. I give Grant a ton of credit. He makes good moves. Hopefully, as this evolves, the moves can be made 2 or 3 yards downfield instead of a yard in the backfield. But that initial explosion power out of stance is what I would love to see. If for the rest of the way, that becomes something, that attack mode and style, I would love that. That would be a huge takeaway for me because I think, as you've seen, Thompson, the receivers, if they can get some stuff done. Grant Allen, we don't see a lot of AJ Allen, but what you see from him, he's a great rest back. Like Grant gets a couple, and then boom, he comes in there and you don't drop off like that. That's awesome. Little in to out cut he made later in the game, got him down where he eventually scored. Was great. Good vision. It's good read. The outside defender was a little too far inside. He made a great cut, and away he went. It's awesome. On that play, Bando, I believe, pulled around and had a nice block. Would have loved to see him lose the little gallop step through it and feel that he's sprinting through the defender. Heat of the moment, battle, and he did it. Block was successful. Block could have been crushing. That's nitpicking at minute detail. But that day, in that stadium for that night game, that couldn't be the way it goes. That couldn't. It couldn't happen that way. 10-1 is being thrown around. This is from David as the drop dead date for Scott. Where does the program go from here? I'm gonna let the people in power handle those decisions. I don't know. I'm sure everybody's got a speculative board out there that they want, they think. That's when, of course, for the financial gurus out there, that's when the money drops to a different number, much lower number. I don't know if a Nebraska fan can make it that far. I've got a few that are quite adamant they will help chip in. I don't think they have that much to do. Jerron says, "Where's the leadership from the team captains? I haven't seen any leadership on the field from any of them." Jerron hits this really, really well. Okay. I'm living it a little bit in high school. I hope a couple of my guys in this last game that we played, it clicked. They became the player that they were last year. They weren't as passive or tentative or thinking about things. They went and attacked. I've said over and over and over again, I don't know who the alpha males are on the team. I don't know who the alpha is. And they can be the alpha and the omega. They can be the beginning and the end. That's fine too. But you've got to have that human being that's in there that when the shit hits the fan, which it was hitting it, there's a lot of it hitting it. A lot. Those guys have to be in there to rally. They have to be in there to structure that. They have to be in there to pull a team together and lead. Like that's a real thing. That's something that's missing in that. You have guys that play their ass off. They really, really do. You got a bunch of hard playing kids. But when it isn't together, when it isn't unified, when it isn't everyone, I'm not saying anybody's dogging plays, but when things go bad, you have to have that guy to look at and be like, hey, you got to tell us something to get us out of this. As I look off to the bar. Usually the bar tells me the answer. But that's a real thing. Like that's something that I think has been lacking for Nebraska for a while. It doesn't have to be the penultimate guy. It doesn't have to be, I don't even know who you'd call their best player. Doesn't have to be vocal. It can be a look. There were times like a player that you were with just like look at you, you're like, oh boy, we're wrong. Okay, let's get her going. Let's get this fixed. One of the big things in that though is trust. I don't know if that trust factor is there. I don't know. When I watch the game, okay, the game of football is played with 11 meatheads at a time. 11 meatheads at a time. Those meatheads have to have ultimate trust in the other 10 meatheads out there. Okay? They showed one of the runs for touchdown for Georgia Southern. Number 31 for Nebraska. Should have been an A-gap player. I believe it was an A-gap. We'll get the gist of the story here in a second. The defensive lineman for Nebraska has done his job. He's occupying the B-gap. But with that lack of trust, saying, okay, this play is starting to the B gap. I got to be in the B gap because I don't think this defensive lineman is going to make this play. Okay. I'm going to go in the B gap too. B gap as well. Now you have a gap completely open. It was green, hit it, and he started running. In the words of Jay Foreman, he hit it and split it, and he gone. We did not have anybody that could catch him. Simply because I did not follow my responsibility. I did not trust my teammate to do their B gap responsibility. So therefore, I thought I had to do the B gap responsibility too. I get caught behind that large human being, which is being shoved by another large human being. And now that one human being for Georgia Southern has blocked 2. And now the numbers greatly skew in their favor. And they scored a touchdown. That happened over and over and over and over and over and over and over in that game. Dash Marshawn Lynch. At this point in time of the exercise, that can't happen. Every gap has a design for a player. If I can't do that, I can't be on the field because I become a liability. If I have to be on the field because I lack depth, then that's a staff issue. The attention to little, small, teeny, tiny detail, which that's what it is. I say over and over again, football team, if you want to get in your little huddle and break things out, probably don't do this with the young guys because it's not from the most shiny, happy movie out there. But the phrase, am I my brother's keeper? And then your response is, yes, I am. New Jack City. If you can live your life that way playing football, you can go a long way. You can go a really long way. You don't have to be as talented. You don't have to be better. You don't have to be all this. But if I view that as, am I my brother's keeper? Am I going to take care of everything he needs and he's going to take care of everything I need? Then you play well. Then you play as a unit. You play as a group. There's no individualism. There's no I got to get mine. That matters. That factors. That all that is important. But I agree with Tron on the leadership part. Sean says, and this again is a detail thing. It's a gotta know the situation, gotta know the room. Sean says would have had 5 to 7 more yards for the kick if Palmer just fair caught the ball plus another 5 seconds. After we fair catch everything under the sun, we're in here with my crew dwindled as the game went on. It was a few people. It was a bunch of people at first that went to a few. Then by the end, there's just a couple. But when they were kicking that ball, I'm like, just fair catch this thing. Take the 25. The time and the yardage is irrelevant unless you've seen something where you're like, Coach, we're gonna break this. I'm gonna take this baby to the house. Then do it. The way it had been going about after you fair caught it, there was somebody within about 3 foot of you. So you fair catch that. This is a great point by Sean. Sean's sneaky good guy to pay attention to on the old Twitter machine. Or on the Facebook. Hey, Florida Dave's up. Maybe when they no. Dave, I'm not gonna read that. Brian says all of college football anymore. At least we're not Nebraska. This is true. This is true. And I will reiterate this. Game 3 of the season. Other college football fan, I don't need your pity. I don't need the, tough one. I don't need that. My alma mater, my team that I cheer for is down. Kick me. Kick me well. Kick me hard. Because I will forever hold out hope that it will get fixed. And I will remember you. And I will remember your name. And I will remember what you said to me. But yeah, we're down. And we're getting kicked. And we're getting laughed at. And our pride is getting in the way as a fan base. until it bothers everybody else as much as it bothers us, until it bothers the kids on the field and the coaches in the stadium, the support staff in there, and the administration that's up there, and the regents that are over there, it don't matter. It's got to bother them a lot more than it bothers us. All we're doing as other fan bases just talking trash. But just kick me when I'm down. Kick me hard. I will remember. And I should get a recliner. I feel I'd be better with my feet up. This chair is. I don't get good angles. I don't have good angles anyway. So, Anthony says, "How do you not get that explosion? How do you get the players to find that tenacity? Is it just personal or coaching or both?" This is in regard to the offensive line and firing off the ball. They do some form of explosive training. Okay, here's the thing with weights. We can lift weights all we want. We can be as strong as we can be. If I can't transfer that to the field, then I have a problem, right? Then I'm not conveying what I need to convey. I'm not doing what I need to do to move that thing along, okay? That quick twitch muscle, that boom, boom. I giggle every time. That's how my good friend Matt Hoskinson teaches his young linemen when he was a coach at the junior Skyhawk program. No affiliation to Scott, so don't do that. It's just a shady Lance Brown organization. Just kidding. I love you. But Haas would just tell him, he goes, "Hey, all we got to do is just boom, boom." And it's 2 fast steps. Bam. At times I feel it's a little reactionary because they don't trust maybe their own feet. But I got to get that to where I'm just a maul. I'm just mauler. And you can fix it during the year. We sucked at it at Scott early in the season. We are getting better at it. I've found a couple drills that I like that work. And basically, I've just got to make practice, and all that is uncomfortable and hard and cruel. You use the word cruel. I don't mind the word cruel. But you have to make that all as bad, like to where it isn't a thought anymore. To where the player knows the only way I'm going to not have to do this drill is when I do this all the time. That's when you know the drill, and that's when you know the technique, and that's when you know it is all hit home. Hey, man, what do I have to do to get me out of this hard-working situation, this painful situation? Do it like that all the time. Then we don't have to do the drill. Deal? So you can do it. You can get him out of it, Anthony. Brian says, "Frost is Michael Duncan Clark and Green Mile, Dead Man Walking." There's a lot in that camp. Les says $7.5 million is nothing for UNL. Time to stand and drop the hammer. Now, Les, that is the number in October. The number today is a larger number. I think you have to add 1 to the front of that, 7. I'm not getting in that, though. John says, "I'm guessing Frost choose Hawken instead of Copenhagen. That is the problem." Don't. The guy is. I don't have empathy. It's hard for me to have empathy for guys making $5 million. There's a human being involved in it. The accountability side of it, at the end of the day, it all has to fall on him. The players can't finish out that game. Not in the 25 seconds. I'm talking about like getting a stop earlier in the game, getting a big play in special teams, keeping your offense humming. Where you can't get stopped, you have to get points. Because you're going to have slugfest now. You're going to have slugfest, and the balance of the Sun Belt and the AAC and all these. You can get just as many transfers in as Nebraska, and if you got a squad that has a culture that is conducive to people coming in, and you can convey to them, you're going to adapt to what we do. You were acting a fool at your first school. You're acting crazy. Now you're in our school. You ain't doing that no more. You're going to act like a normal human being. You're going to get your stuff done. And then we'll go on from there. Then you may have a chance to be great here, but you're going to fit inside of what we do. schools like that will be more and more relevant. You ask Notre Dame, right? I know they're in the Pac-12, but I don't think a whole bunch of people had Washington State going in and shocking Wisconsin. Rough day for the Big Ten West. Rough day. But this portal, as much as people will view it as aiding the elites, is actually something, when done correctly, that can benefit the group of 5 teams. If you don't think eyes on that TV saw Helton walk into Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, and win that game, there's a couple guys like, hey, man, I'm like 5th on the depth chart here at old Ohio State, Bama, whatever. Them dudes look like they're having a great time. If I follow that got 'em mentality, get after their ass, which they have on their pants, which I thought was awesome. I thought that was great. It's bad when I saw something like that. I was like, oh, that's not, hopefully they don't live like that. Hopefully they don't. Nope, they bought into that. But it can benefit those teams. I'm not making any excuses. Nebraska needed to win that game and is a Power 5 team, and maybe that's not quite 100% true of what they actually are. But you got to go in and win that game. You got to match intensity. You got to match enthusiasm. Your scheme is fine. It's working. You're getting yards. Defensively, you got to find somebody that's going to find a way. You got to find someone that's going to find a way to get a stop, to will you to a victory. There were opportunities. Number 8 missed a wide open tackle on number 4 for Georgia Southern. Got to make that play. You're the last line of defense. You can't whiff. You can't go head down the turf, diving at an ankle, and miss. Number 12 for Georgia had no problem with that. When A.J. Allen broke out, right, he's got to make one move. He gave him a little shimmy wiggle. 12's like, yeah, nah, I'm going to hit your thigh. My head up, eyes up, hit your thigh, and you're going to go down. And then I'm going to give my guys another chance to maybe get us a turnover. Got to make that play. Got to make that play. Bradley J says our linebacker is atrocious. The defense doesn't have a clue where to line up. And what their assignment is, year 5 cannot be that case. Isn't it crazy how quick things change? I like Chenander a lot. I think he's a stand-up guy. Last year, Nebraska's defense really old. It was really old. You had 5th-year guys, and you had a lot of depth on your defensive line. You had a lot going on in the positive direction. Not being able to get some woodsheds in those games and get your younger guys in it is kind of showing right now. Reimer is an athletic kid, really runs around hard, plays the game hard. Does not do well when it gets muddy in front of him, meaning linemen are up in his face. He's speed is his game. Heinrich, I don't even know. That's how I was out of it. I don't even know if he played. Still hurt. Anyway, but it all starts with the 3 to 4 up front, whatever 3 or 4 they put in there. Not to pick, but 44 in your trust experience on one of Georgia Southern's touchdowns at that end position, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it. When they're running jet at you, they're reading you. And the minute he went outside because he didn't trust his outside linebacker to make the play on the jet sweep, they handed the ball underneath him, and that was a bunch of jargony stuff, but that one just popped in my brain. Which is, by the way, a little scrambled. I tried to warn people, like I said before, not to take this game lightly. It's a lot of talent. I was still under the assumption that they were still running the triple option, which I was like, oh my God, that's a discipline. We got to be disciplined on defense to stop this. Helton then coming in runs versions of it with the read option things that are available, but a talented team with nothing to lose is dangerous. Nebraska found that out. A floundering team, that doesn't have all that, that's kind of the way that goes. Back to some more questions here. Benton says this keeps happening. We did not learn from last game. Done talking Frost. Must go now. Sean says, is that not gap discipline issue or is it coaching? It's discipline, Shawnee. It's a discipline issue. When you get one guy, okay, so if we're looking at gaps, if I have a tight end, I'm just going to draw this in the air. Your guys, this is I'm moving my right hand to the right, be your left. A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap. Nobody ever calls it D gap. It's just outside, but that was the progression. On the weak side, A gap, B gap, C gap. Everyone is accountable for said gap. So whatever front I get in, however I want to blitz, every player has that gap responsibility. Some will have two linebackers at times will be a strong A and a C gap player because you have a defensive lineman in the B gap. I have to have full faith and trust in that person ahead of me to maintain their gap. If they get turned sideways, the play gets turned sideways. Now I probably got to go above and beyond what I need to do in my A gap and my C gap. Okay. I can't be an A, B, C player because me at linebacker, I have another layer of depth behind me. Be it a 2 high safety look, a 1 high safety look. I've got some corners. I've got to do my job for the success of all. Even on a defensive line setup, if you are getting whooped, and it's going to happen, teams you play aren't like, oh, man, I'm just going to let this guy control this B gap on me. Because if I do that, then I got to go to the sideline. That coach can yell at me, why ain't I doing my job? Hey, I got this sophomore behind. I'm going to put him in there, see if he can do it. And if he can do it, then you're going to stand over here with me the rest of the game. They're trying to move you off spot. There's ways you can control that spot that some will call chicken shit. Others will call smart football. You can play that thing down low and just try to penetrate. Just as soon as the ball moves, you just sprint yourself forward right in that B gap. Let that big old dude trying to block you, who probably has low hip mobility, try to just shove you in the ground. Worst case scenario, he lays on top of you. But you have the B gap. You can put your arms around it. You can hug it. My B gap is right here. Now linebackers can run free. If I've got a defensive end, he's a C gap player. He's got to get his hands on that gentleman in front of him to keep the linebacker clean, meaning no big lineman, offensive lineman in his face. If he can jam that down, now that linebacker can scrape to either the B gap or the C gap. He can now go make plays and be athletic and be fast. Defensive linemen have what's called a factor. If as you're scoring at home, linebacker, safeties, outside backers, corners, they all got categories. I got tackle, I got unassisted tackle, I got assisted tackle, I got a pass breakup, I got pass deflection, I got bleh. The biggest compliment you can give defensive linemen are factors. Meaning we put you in that B gap. They sent two guys at you. Neither one of those guys got to the linebacker they were intended to get to. You factored in that play. No one but us and some psychos on the interwebs are going to see it. But you did it. You did it right. Factor. Okay? When you get a defensive lineman out of 80 some odd plays, whatever's running the game, if he can factor in 70 of those plays, you're doing real good. Better than most. Your bare minimum will be to factor in half of them. But I don't know the factor level. I'll have to go back and score it, which means I got to watch it again. Yeah. That discipline in that to trust, it's just a trust thing. It really is. You can watch it at levels. 31 sneaking up where he shouldn't be. 1 and 8 trying to get down in the box. You know, you can be down in the box. That's fine. You have to know the lineman's gap responsibility, and you also have to know the linebacker gap responsibility. Because guess what? If you're running up to make the play, there's another guy in a red jersey directly in front of your line of sight, we're in trouble. We are in big trouble. I got to trust you to go in and make the play. Then once they get it stood up, now I can come in and be the pest or the guy that comes in and just gets that little punch poke at the ball. Those things. I have to trust you infinitely to do your job. when you get guys trying to do too much in any defensive scheme, won't work. It's 11 on 11 most of the time. I don't think we viewed Georgia Southern's quarterback as a huge run threat. So now you actually have an advantage. You're playing 10v11. You got 11. That QB, he may sneak out one late, but if you're cut back reverse bootleg player is disciplined, all he's got to do is check him out. Hey, ain't got it. I'm going to the party. But I've got to trust you to do your job. I've got to trust you to make sure that everything is right in there. Brian says we have the dudes verse. Do that. Sad thing is, where's the coaching? Now the coaches don't tackle or block on the field, but the fellas, especially on D, look lost and confused. That's a coaching issue. This is year 5. Looks at times worse than year 1. As much as I wanted Frost to be the guy, he isn't. You can drill it. You can rep it. You can cover it in film. You can do all that stuff. You can get up on the whiteboard and draw it. Until you get out in a physical situation where it's all flying around and it's uncomfortable in a practice, it won't stick. All those things you think you know change when it gets real, when you're hitting and that. I just thought it'd be an interesting thing, like, hey, let's put some NIL money on this, right? Like, hey, second team offense. You're going to go against first team defense. This is never going to happen, by the way, ever. 2nd O versus 1D. 2nd O, every first down you get, we're going to pool some of their NIL money together, and you guys are going to get to split amongst yourselves. If you score a touchdown, you each get more. Every one of you. And watch that thing go down. You're going to have a full-blown game at practice, and they will be going hard as can be. You've got to find a way to replicate a game in practice to make sure your guys trust and know when to fit. Jeff says Frost can't develop players at a high enough success rate. Players get here, they see coaching as a mess, so they leave. That's how you end up throwing darts with mercenaries every year with underclassmen starting on the O-line and in the front 7 on D, which should never happen unless your name is Remington or Wistrom. Jeff, shout out to you for knowing it's Wistrom, not Winstrom. Well done there. Development's been a bitch. It has. Garrett Nelson would be the most up-to-date answer on a guy that I think has gotten better as he's been at Nebraska. Like evolved into a better. He still makes mistakes. He does. But from where he started, where he just all energy running around, I'm like, hey, dude, you can't be 4 yards up the field. They're going to run right underneath you. This ain't Scott's Bluff no more, bud. You got to, this is when he's a freshman. You got to stay flat in the line. You got to crush that stuff down. You got to make it bounce and let your fast guys come get it. To where he is now. And he got caught in a guessing game, like I said. In the game. Gonna happen. They're college kids. But he's been a guy that's made progress. I'd love to hear your guys who's made progress in the comments. That development is the thing. That development is the deal. If we can rewind, I think everybody, like, we just get a do-over. We go back in the time machine 4 years and 3 games. When you come in and you look at it and you assess and say, okay, we've got to have a discipline standard that we don't even believe is possible. All right? We've got to have a development portion of our organization that is second to none, because we can go out and get kids that are probably not ready for prime time. But if we reevaluate our strength and conditioning, we get it where it's more explosive, where it's more restricted movement, and I boom explode out of things, and I become this machine. We can do this. We may not win a lot year 1, year 2. That's fine. I would rather not win a lot year 1, year 2, and see it round into form year 3. Be right on the edge of it year 4, and year 5. Now we're going, because the time was there. The time to rebuild Nebraska back into a disciplined, efficient, everybody pulling the rope in one direction was there. Nobody was going to pull the plug early on this, as we're living right now. You had time. It didn't have to be overnight turnaround. We're going to make everything we do attention to detail down to the T. If you're walking in the hallways, tucked in shirt. If you go to a door and there's a person older than you or a female, you open and hold that door. These are things, I don't know if they do them or not. But you're going to rewire the brain so that everything that they do is focused on detail in the small parts of their life. Then that focus on detail translates onto the field. Right, my guy Jergs over at Scud he's you got dudes tucking in their shirt. I told a couple of them, just put some Velcro on the inside of your pants. Just hook the Velcro to your shirt, you'll be fine. It'll never come out. They've got running punishment on top of whatever else they get for the school for it. You got to rewire the brain to make the player live at a higher standard. Player views himself as a higher standard for just basic expectation of life. It's easier to translate that and make it harder at practice. You missed that step. You missed that linebacker because you had bad steps. Okay, we're doing it again. Until you get it right. You're going to hold up practice until you get it right. Everybody's going to be waiting on you. If you continue to do this, you'll be out. If then I give you a rep and you do it again, then everybody's going to pay. You had a chance to push that reset button and build culture back. Not flash in the pan. We're going to win. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Look at them fancy plays. We're going to build this thing right. Now you bring in kids that maybe are a little bit developmental, and you muddle through year 1 and 2. But guess what? In year 3, those guys you took a shot on that weren't quite ready for prime time, they've had 2 years in your weight room. They've had 2 years in your athleticism programs, which I think they really need to work on. Now we're different. Now we're better. Okay, so now I got all these dudes from year 3 that I trusted. I trusted you. Don't let me down. I trust you. You trust yourself. Trust your teammates. Here we go. Now see what happens. Then in year 4, my first year of guys I trusted, now get a second set of guys that I trusted. I'm like, wow, I got about 22 dudes ready to run through a wall. Look at us go. There we go. Year 5. Now I got 3 years of dudes I took a shot on. They're busting their asses, working hard. We got a disciplined setup, and now we're good. Now I can call these fancy plays that I got. Whomever's calling them, I don't know who's calling them. I don't care. Now I can just I walk around and hey, good job. Way to go over there. If we get a do-over, that probably would be how I would have done it over. Freddie says, biggest problem is that Frost believes he himself is doing all he can and a good job. Guy's ego is bigger than Ron. Whoa, not reading that. Frost doesn't know how to point the thumb. Anytime I say Fred, just be ready. Yeah. Need to bring those old school sleds back out with the old guy yelling at him to drag their feet. That's Anthony knows. That's some gangster stuff from back in the day. They have fancy sleds now with 2 hands. You get on and push it. Put a bunch of weight on there. Put a human being on there and have him wiggle. That was worse. You'd be blocking the sled. It's a one-man sled. Had 2 handles. So as you're going, the coach can just yank it or wobble on it. Well, it gets it off balance, and you're off balance. It teaches you how to keep your base wide. Sean says, we already know how the story ends for Scott. How can the players rally together and not splinter even further than they are now? I don't think I don't think the players are splintered. I don't think you ever really see them pointing fingers at each other. I think they're at wit's end a little bit. They're like, hey, man, we're doing everything that we can here and nothing's working. You hope there's not resentment toward either part of the lines. And I think they're a pretty cohesive group as kids. For me, it'd be one of the adults. Like if I'm a coordinator, be it Chin or Whipple, I'm gonna go insulate my group. If I'm the overseer of the offense, I'm gonna make sure all my offensive guys know, hey, this is it. Bam, 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 bam. Lyman, we can't have this no more. We can't have it. You're at Nebraska, which used to be a home of offensive linemen, is not anymore. That pipeline is locked up and closed. She ain't pumping anymore. You got to rebuild something. You get a chance to be the first crew to start it over. That's how I would handle it. Kids doing it, you have a chance for it to go off the rails pretty quick. Just because they don't know, that they've never been in that spot. Tommy says, here's a thought about all the full moon last night. So many things happened that shouldn't have. How many ranked teams got beat by lesser opponents? We're going astrology now. Astrology's causing this. Full moon. Full moon didn't know it happened. No. Nope. John in the speculative camp says, with Frost's ego, not reading that part of the statement, is he trying to get fired before the buyout drops? No. I'm going to go with no on that. I don't think I would find out any different, but yeah, no is my answer to that. Sean says, does anyone know if Frost's number one PR guy, Matt Davison, was bitching about the program last night as much as he was towards the end of the Riley era? That one I don't know either. I don't know those answers. First one into work, Connor Braley. Hey, Con, you were at the game last night. You're on air right now. You were at the game last night, yeah? You didn't go? Did you go down to Lincoln? Did you go down to Lincoln? Oh. All right. Connor's always good for about 72 beers on a game day. Thought maybe have a funny story for us. Said you're always good for about 72 beers on game day, but you don't have any funny stories for us, so we can't hear them. Yeah, that people tell me on radio and stuff, whatever we're doing, internet stuff, don't violate the fourth wall. Don't let them know people are ready. I'm like, why? Chances are there could be a funny story that comes out of that. I do not think he's trying to do that. One of my former players, Christian Bandiola, says, I feel like there was no fire from the team as a whole. Yeah, there wasn't, bud. Christian, oh, man, I coached Christian back in my younger days of coaching. Just happy they still contact me. That was a nut job. There's too many teddy bears on the line. They need a borderline psycho or two to turn up the heat. The linemen look like they get mad or anything. Yeah. Got to find some dogs. Got to find the guy from Coastal Carolina that did. I don't need cats. I need dogs. Davey asks, is this rock bottom? I don't know. I hit rock bottom a little while ago. I think I hit rock bottom this year in Ireland. Big difference from this year's defense to last year's defense is lack of heart from JoJo Doman brought to the field. There's a lot to it. JoJo was a shot taker. When Nebraska plays good defense, they have shot takers. You know, you had Terrell Farley was not always in the proper position or spot, but he was so fast, so athletic, he would just make the play. Terrell, why'd you go there? Because I knew I could make that play. Good job. Good read. Well done. Ben says they don't hate losing, period. There's something to that. There's something to that. Kent the barber up in Norfolk, Nebraska. If you're ever up in Norfolk, you can go see my family. Kent is a hell of a dude. Kent, we talked about that. I have never in my life seen a defensive back before the ball is even snapped. Just walk over and just start touching a receiver. Like I sat there and I watched it. And I was just like, huh? What? Nothing. Nobody moved. Like, you see it the other way all the time. The receiver takes off early and hits the DB because he wants to get him. No, DB just walked over and gave him a deal, gave him a hit. That's a good point by John. John, in response to Ben, says, Ben, it isn't that they don't hate losing. They don't even care about it. They care. They care. Nobody likes to go out to compete to lose. But does it haunt you? Like, does it haunt your every waking moment? It takes back to the Bear Bryant story that my good buddy Ryan Terwilliger would tell every year before we started a season. Brian had retired and he's just at his house. He's mowing. It's kind of next to a high school, and the high school was bad. And coach came over and said, hey, Coach Bryant, you want to come? Can talk to the fellas about what this game's about? Give us a little something. And Brian's like, nah. And then coach kept kind of pestering him. And so the night before he was headed over, it had rained. Big puddles on the ground everywhere. And Brian comes over and asks and says, hey, who's one of your captains, one of your leaders, come up here and stand with me. So the kid, of course, sheepishly walks up there. He's like, oh, geez, this is Bear Bryant. This is a big deal. Bryant goes Johnny Lawrence on him, sweeps the leg, drops his head down in a puddle. Kid's kicking and flailing and he won't let him up. And the coach is kind of like, is this old man going to kill this kid? What are we doing here? Like, what happened? This is supposed to be like a motivator. So he's looking at the rest of the team as he's doing it, and he picks the kid's head up. He's gasping for breath. He's gasping for air, and looks at the team, and he says, when winning is as important as your next breath, you'll win. Let the kid go, went back to mowing. It seems idiotic and it seems stupid, but if winning doesn't consume every part of your waking day, it's not. School will get in the way. School, you have to do that. But if you're not planning everything to go out and be better in every way, shape, or form of the day, it doesn't work. It's just the way it happens. So I don't have anything to whiteboard today, Bri. Or I bust her out. I'll tell you what, we caught ourselves up here about an hour. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. Cam Broham is here. I am here. I'm going to see if I can get Aaron Taylor to come on. He's not going to, but we'll send him a message, see if old AT will join us here on Husker Hangover. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to them. We'll be back shortly. up, everybody? Welcome back into Husker Hangover. We're on the internet. We're on YouTube. Got a minor technical issue to start the show, but we figured it out. Ground through it. Coming back with a W. This Cam kills the music. Cool thing about doing this on the interwebs is you can kind of see how everybody hops back on. So let everybody know that we just came back from break. Here's what happens on the breaks. There's things I have to do here at Paisans at strategic points of the day. One of them is turn on the oven so we can function for business. So I had to go do that real quick. Another fun thing about this, though, a lot of blasts from the past. A gentleman by the name of Dick Ray, who was my father's high school coach in Newman Grove, Nebraska, has the ability to message me, and in true coaching form, he says, Matt, what percentage of defensive coverage is zone compared to man-to-man? Mr. Ray, love you like family. I have no idea. I'll go back and I'll try to find that, and I will message that to you, but he's down living that retired life in Arizona. So shout out to Mr. Ray and his family. KK, my girl KK, Carrie is listening today. Says true story on Jurgens. Carrie, that's why I told the story. Jurgens is very proud of that he's the T-shirt Gestapo there at Scott Catholic. Another one, Orlando. I'm just going to say his last name because it's awesome. Maldonado was one of our guys back in the day that you don't realize how spoiled you are when you have like super good people around you. I feel that we all try to treat them as equals. He was one of our support guys around the team. Orlando says the sad part is if you get more discipline with players, they will pack up and transfer. This is an interesting one to me. I have a conversation with this, and O was around it, like when it was legit, like when it was real, and we were humming on all cylinders. My question is this: if that is the case, because I don't think kids, for the most part, I think they have changed, but I don't think they have changed that much. The right kids, maybe that's a better way to phrase it. The right kids. Because when you get to that point and you have an organization, a system that is working, I think you're a lot more likely to keep kids around, freshman, sophomore, even into their junior year. That sophomore year might be kind of the crossroads. If a couple things happen, they can see your vision of what their role for you is, and you give them clear landmarks. Hey, you have to do this to get this, which to me at times I think maybe the recruiting pitch is a little different. I've had the chance to talk to a bunch of parents that come in and say, hey, this coach came in and said, hey, we really like what you do. We're willing to give you an opportunity, but here's how we see this playing out. So put that card or that path on the table. Say, this is how this has to go for you to be successful here with us. If you cannot do those things, then maybe we're not the fit for you. And people say, well, Nebraska doesn't have that luxury to walk away. But if you have a clear path, like I know in my day, this is back in the Rona days, Rona was scary and it was a lot of work for us here at Paisans, which thank you all for patronizing and coming in, and it was awesome. But for that, we knew our day by like 3:00. Because everybody, by the way, if you want game day pizzas, call in early. You pick your time slot. If you try to call at 5 and get one for 5:30, probably not happening. But we had people that would just call at like 3. Hey, I'm going to need pizza here. Boom, 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 boom. So as my staff guy showed up, like, wait a minute, we've got 3:30 to 8:30 planned out full. Like, yeah, I just go. They're like, this is awesome. Okay, the reason I'm saying this is we had a clear plan that day. Everybody bought in. It was fast. It was efficient. Boom, boom, boom. Here we're going. If I have clear plan, clear vision of you as a human being and how I can see you benefit this program we're building, I don't think your transfers happen as much. Now, for me as a coach, when I say that and I give these landmarks and you start to hit those landmarks, You've done what you're supposed to do. I got to give you the reward now. I got to go to your coach and say, hey, put him in. He's done everything we've asked of him. Give him that shot. I've told you stories when it happened at Nebraska when I was there. Randomly just be like, hey, it's a second drive of the series. What is Dishman doing in there? Like, well, just send him in to see if it'll work. See what he can do. Oh, Jesus. Okay, go get him, Dish. Viva la. If I give him that, okay? If I don't sell it as you're going to walk in and start day one, if I'm saying I'm going to give you an opportunity to earn this, it's different. I don't mind the portal at all. I don't. But when it becomes stopgap or important, like everything, oh my gosh, we almost led the country in portal transfers. Yeah, that's good. If it's all structured and it's all right and it's all everything. Yeah. If we can get that to where that goes, and then third, I gotta just be able to look mom and dad in the face and say, listen, my goal by the time that your son gets here is that he's gonna enter as this human being, and when he leaves, he's a better human being. And in there, we're gonna play some football. And I'm gonna teach him skills and all this stuff is gonna lead him to be a successful human being when it gets done. Right? That's gonna play in a lot of rooms. Some rooms it won't play. Some rooms that statement will be like, well, you better get my baby to the league. Like, well, I think your kid's a good player. We don't think he's one of the 1% in the world that can play that game. But here's what I'm going to do. He's going to have a degree. He's going to be a great kid. Do all these things. And he's going to play great football if he follows this plan. That's what we see. So I think you can eliminate your guys transferring out when you build stability and clear vision in what you're doing. But great to hear from you, my guy. Always good. That guy's a stud. Orlando's the man. The issue I have, excuse week in and week out, and I love Nebraska talk. The 16-31 is embarrassing, it seems like. At times they have the Riley mentality of, okay, it's okay to be okay. I'm reading well today. You know the program is in disarray when the alumni base that has been quiet are starting to chirp. Oh, quiet. We're starting to chirp. Sorry, I remember. That's Chris. You're fine, Chris. It's not, we're venting. We're helping each other out. We're going to get through this together one way or the other. The only time, I mean, if you want to be a big, what's done is done. I mean, you gotta clear your brain. You gotta refocus this thing and be all right. OU's coming into town. Maybe we've been prepping for them for 3 weeks. Maybe that's what's happened. Maybe we will come out with the greatest game plan ever and shock the world. But you have to. Yeah, you got to point the thumb. It is what it is. This is what's going on. You've got a week to change it. Whatever you're doing right now, I do the exact opposite. I would do the exact 180 of whatever we were doing. Jim says, so the programs that are successful in discipline, Bama, Georgia, Clemson, the rule doesn't apply to them. Jim, you're going to have to elaborate for me, buddy. Which rule? I just kind of talk a lot. Ooh, there's a blast from the past with my many crushes in college. Gigi says, I doubt the players talk to girlfriends and friends in the stands after the game under Osborne. If you're not praying with Ron Brown, get your ass in the locker room instead of showboating, jacking around with the fans. Yeah, you're starting to see a lot of this stuff kind of wear on people. I know I lost it a couple times. When, we're just making like a basic play. Like, I'm the corner. My job is to make sure you don't catch the ball. And then you don't catch the ball, and I've somehow now won the Super Bowl, and I'm celebrating like it's the greatest play ever made when it's literally my job. It's literally what I'm supposed to do on every play. Linebacker came on a blitz, shot a gap, made a play in the backfield, gave up and gave the no wagging finger as you're down in, I believe, the third quarter to Georgia Southern. All due respect to Georgia Southern, the victors in that game. Perspective. Yeah. I don't need you. I need you celebrating on doing your job. I need you celebrating if you go across, you make a huge play. Strip, sack, fumble, go crazy. Interception, return for touchdown, go nuts. Spike that thing. You pick six that baby, spike it. Throw it to road 96 in South Stadium, something. I'm good there. But I don't know. What if Jim's talking about the transfers? Portal rule. Those guys staying there. I mean, you got 4- and 5-star guys like third on the depth chart. They may leave their junior year, after spring. It's going to happen. It's part of it. One of the fastest human beings I've ever known in my life. Hey, Vrzal, love the show. No worries. Our friend Lindsay is calling Uncle Monty Kiffin now to convince him to come out of retirement and save our defense. In all seriousness, what are the odds Shenaners, the fall guy, and Frost is given the rest of the season with a new D coordinator? Woj, good to hear from you, bud. I'd say that whole crew will go together. I would love me some Monty Kiffin, though. Monty Kiffin's got to be about 104 right now. But no, a gal we were in high school with, it's Uncle Monty's her uncle, literally. So very cool. But yeah, I don't think Shenander's going to be the fall guy. I think he seems to be a real stand-up guy. Like he knows. He's not bus rolling anybody. He's like, yeah, didn't play good. Broke down responsibilities. And away you go. Patrick asks, who's on your list? Patrick, you stop in. We'll go over my list. We'll talk about. We'll talk about it. Coach Mahoney, who I coached with it. Malcolm said the Bear Bryant story. Yeah, that one will resonate forever with the youth of Malcolm. Orlando back at it says Charlie McBride Milt Tenor would be making D&O lines cry on Monday. He ain't lying, dude. He is not lying. Man, I cannot. It's so psychotic that we all laugh about it, but you would just be fearful of like Tuesday and Wednesday practice, like, and it was healthy. It wasn't like you just everybody walking like, man, it's gonna be a day. Kind of dab each other up, like, see you at the end, dude. We're gonna make it. We only got 4,000 of these left in the season. We're gonna make it together. I've told you also too, that we get to the October, November part of the season, and the sun will go down early. This is how old I am. Nebraska didn't have lights. So you're like, man, there's no way they can keep us till like 6. It's gonna be pitch black. Like we won't see nothing. You'd hear these kind of generators going, and you'd be walking back from class like, no way. These old Musco portable lighting systems would be getting wheeled in, and they'd put these things at the 4 corners, and you're just like, are you serious right now? Like this is happening? Like they're wheeling in portable lights for practice. We're gonna be here till midnight. Oh, my guy Tyson, who's over in Okoboji, says, how hard is to change the culture? A bunch of transfers to start playing. True Husker football feels like they're not buying in. Again, that ties back into the culture, bud. Like uniform focus, everybody on the same page. Can't have any resentment anywhere. Everybody's got to be not kumbaya. Yo, listen. Coaches were MFing each other at practice. There's a couple like, hey, go fuck yourself. Like, that was coach to coach. But then they would go, and throw the elbow and screw around. That culture's got to be lock solid. Talk about it. From what I see on the field, I don't know if I'm 100% bought in that it is locked down. And that makes it tough. That makes it hard. Ben says, I agree, John, not caring about it is what I mean. If you can lose and not care enough to make change in your behavior, do the small things, work harder, and you're far from hating losing. Yeah. This has been kind of a common theme in the chats here. My girl Tiff listening in Chicago, one of my favorite places in the world, one of my favorite human beings. Notice that I still got the matcha. This one probably, if you look at like true competitors, okay, wins are neat and fun and it's awesome. It's more when you get to the point where you hate losing. Where you hate losing. And from an individual standpoint, you hate playing poorly or making mistakes. When that becomes your focus, then that's probably more than winning. I don't know if you have to despise a loss. Like people, God bless them. I don't know why people put up with me. When I come home or when I get back home to Paisans after, we've played a game, we didn't play well, I am a dick. Like I wouldn't want to be around me. I pout and I stomp around, and if it's bad, I'll go in the cooler. I hate not performing well. And for my guys, it's because I'm the one that I've put them in that spot. If they play poorly, I didn't do enough. In my brain, that's how my brain works. I will never fault them. If they play poorly, that's my fault. It always is. If we're unable to matriculate the ball down the field in a running fashion, that's my fault. And then I get in my feels and I get pissy and I get mad, and God bless everybody that tries to say something nice to me, and I just kind of, but it bothers me to this day, and I'm old. I cannot play anymore. My left ankle decided it just doesn't want to work no more. So I'd limp around everywhere. But I'm good with that. It's why even in business, I'm in competition every day. When if you've ever been in here and we've ever failed you, which has happened, I will never say, oh, kids in the back screwed it up. It's my fault. I didn't train them well enough to do their job right. I'll get it right, though. Here's a free one. Here's this. Here's that. When it goes good, when somebody says that's the best pizza that I've ever had, great. Could you just walk to that little pass through there and just tell the guys in the back, nice job? I said, or on the menu, we've got a brew for the crew. You can buy them all a beer. When they turn 21, they have a spreadsheet for all my underage kids. When they turn 21, keg. They buy for $1. But that's how it's. I don't want the success of it. I want to know that my team is solid, and then if I can't be here, then they'll handle it the same way. And that's the awesome part. If I'm never not there, and I hear somebody say, "Hey, this happened, screwed it up. Here's how we fixed it." Okay. But I will take the blame. I will pass on the accolade. Because if my team is good, then I'm good. I want them to be the stars of the show. That's how. But for me, if we screw something up, that's a loss. We lost that battle with a patron of Omaha that trusted us with their money to provide them a meal. We screwed it up. We lost. Here's our penance for the loss. The boss is paying. And now we're going to go fix it. If the offensive line plays bad, that's my loss, not their loss. They didn't prepare themselves. I prepared them. I did that. But if they're good, they're able to close out a game like we did last week, that's on them. They did what they were supposed to. Saban doesn't care about winning. He just hates losing. Hates it with passion. Bill Belichick, what do they say when they lose? We're on to Cleveland. He didn't wait around and feel bad about it. Jay says, Matt, do you think the celebrating a play where the defensive back clearly held the wide receiver and gets a penalty more discipline, he thinks it was how he's coached to do it, or guys just need to adjust? I will never in my life question how a defensive back does their work. I don't think anybody's taught to hold, but you're taught to fight. And you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar sometimes as a defensive back. I got no problem with that. I just make sure before I throw my hands up in the air, there's no flags on the field. Because that one was a crucial play. Good position, got a little grabby with the hands. That's what it is. Guy that bailed me out during our reunion back in GI. Eric says, do you think we wait for the buyout or does someone hand over the $7.5 million to get the process rolling? I got to do some research on these numbers because I got them backwards, evidently. I got them the other way. Buck, I would say where we're at right now, if this is what's going to happen, you got to look at the finances of it. You got to look at how full are our coffers, right? We've been having to sell a lot of tickets at a lot of discount prices to keep this whole sellout thing going. Is there anybody that's interested in ponying up some? I don't think you can do it now. I think you better have a locked up plan if you're going to, because if being that we rewound 5 years to redo this whole experiment over, let's just play imaginary world now. Say they pull the trigger right now. Do you want to put your interim coach in your first game as Oklahoma? I don't. Just me personally. You do have some boosters, though, that can cut that check and can cut it pretty quick. Bob asked, do the black shirts wear their BS during practice? Oh, sorry, black shirts. Do the black shirts wear their black shirts during practice? I thought you meant like own it. If so, shouldn't they pull them until they play up to a black shirt standard? Thanks. People got so mad at Bo when he did it in the way where he said they got to earn them. Right? I got to see them playing a game. They got to earn these. I didn't mind that one bit. Didn't mind it at all. Thought it was a novel concept. This is great. I am not going to hand this to you. You are going to earn it. Then when you earn it, it will mean more. Not that you can't earn them in camp. You could have somebody in camp that's like, man, we can't block him. He tackles everybody. You earned this already. You may be the only one to start. That's okay. But now you're in the point of pulling them and do you rally the old guys in and say, hey, come talk to them what this is about? Do they understand it? You're getting the guys that the tradition of a black shirt it's not there. I mean, it's gone. They've got to be the ones that want to react and the ones that want to perform. But what a lot of them probably don't understand is how those dudes that were like gangster OG black shirts, they knew those dudes, like the linebackers knew the D linemen had them. The safeties knew the linebackers had them, had their back in every way, shape, and form. Corners knew that D line was going to get pressured. I got to cover for like 3 seconds, 2 seconds. We're good, right? It literally is the truest form behind the offensive line of brotherhood on a team, on a Nebraska team. offensive linemen today, all still thick as thieves. Some of us skinnier, some of us fatter than we used to be, but we'll be right back in. You want to see people just get cut up when they walk into a room? Throw 10 offensive linemen in there and just watch the verbal jabs just take over. I mean, just take over. But you got to have somebody to respect, and it resonates with them. Sue would probably be your best bet. Prince, because that's what they're going to base it on. I don't need this old dude coming in yelling at me. You know, some guy still playing in the league come yell at me. Maybe that works. Our guy John, who's been a loyal follower for a long time, and it's done. He says, "What's done is done, and it is done." Have a drink, follow K-State as Martinez, and he succeeds without Frost, and wait until next year. Justin says, exactly like you've been there for. Justin S. says, Frost is dry as breadcrumbs as CEO. He is at least needs to become a passionate motivator. Yeah, I mean, be that guy. Be hype. Trust everybody. Robert says, why keep Frost around? What benefit does it have? Is there a buyout if Frost resigns? Maybe see if Whipple or Joseph can get anything done. Awesome show. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, you guys, for listening, all 110 of you. Got to 112 for a while. Keep spreading the message for us. We just kind of threw this together, bootstraps. I got tired of corporate America, so we did something different. We're having a good time. It's easier, except for me. I don't like looking at me on there. We should probably, there's got to be a filter that's going to make me look better, right? Okay. We'll work on that for next week. Why keep him around? It's a great question. I will never be in a spot to call for somebody's head because I don't walk in his shoes. I trust at sometimes to a fault the powers that be at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. They're the big brains in the big brain positions. They get paid the big dollars to make the big decisions. So whichever way they go, I'm good. If they do it, I understand. If they don't, I understand. But there are a lot of people in your camp, Robert. There are a lot of people that believe that. My beautiful friend Molly Brinker says at least the Hawkeyes lost 2. Congratulations to your Cyclones, Brink. I know you had a rough week. That had to be a happy hangover for those Cyclone fans. Eric says, what are the odds that Georgia Southern ends up in the playoff and all this makes sense? Not very good, Buck. Not very good, my man. You said were you fearful of Monday was coming? This team does not have a fear of failure. That's one of the tenements of Frost coaching philosophy. Till these kids hate to lose and fear failure, there will be no improvement, no change. That's from David. Patrick says weird atmosphere next weekend. I don't think it's gonna be weird. You can have a bunch of Oklahoma people coming up. I got 5, 10, 15 that are headed up. That I think they're going to leave Friday morning, so we will see them here after the game Friday night at Pisons. But no, it'll be, maybe Oklahoma coming to town is the best thing that can happen to Nebraska. Okay? Bear with me here for a second. Oklahoma's been through this. They were bad. I mean, they were bad. Went through coaches, shuffled through coaches, didn't have an identity, didn't know what was happening. And then the Stoops came in. Katie barred the door, and away they went. So you won't find 2 fan bases that respect each other more than Oklahoma and Nebraska. You're probably going to have some Oklahoma folks talking Nebraska folks down off the ledge. But they're just be like, hey, man, we lived this, and now we're on the other side of it. You're experiencing what we experienced. Maybe a little bit longer time than we experienced before, but you got to trust your AD much as OU trusted theirs to make that hire. Is it a defensive guy? Maybe that's the first thing you rebuild. You rebuild the black shirt tradition because I think it gives you a chance to stay in a lot of games. You may come into Lincoln or we may go on the road. You're going to know this. The black shirts will be the black shirts again. Okay, that would be if you hire a defensive-minded guy. You're going to play us. You may score. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad. We're going to focus on building this back first. If we can get our offense to score us 14, something, 17, whatever, we're going to try to give up 7, 14, less than your score. Okay? But Stoops, defensive-minded guy, just happened to hit gold with Leach and Gino. And their offense was good too. The direction they go, whatever it is, but I think we all see the writing on the wall. Cheney says, is Chris having issues moving off of the chins, sorry. Moving off of the 3-4 where he played to keep everything in front of them to the 4-3 where it's not as aggressive enough. The thing with the 4-3 that I really like is those two outside linebackers in the 3-4 got to be freaks. Like, they got to be freaks, and you have to have a freak at the zero technique or the nose guard spot, the guy right dead center in the middle and the center. Going to the 4-3, you can be super aggressive in a 4-3. You can bring pressure in a lot of ways. You can get real creative with stuff if everybody's base fundamental sound, meaning I have gap integrity. I know where my gaps are. I know what defenses I have to maintain what gaps, what formations cause my gap responsibilities to change. Then you can be aggressive. I don't think it's that big of a change. Coach Ray back at it says we need to have more man-to-man coverage. I don't disagree with that. If it's going to happen, let it happen aggressively, right? Meaning you're blitzing, you're trying to do those things. Sean says, good one, Sean. Sean says accountability then must not be solely a former Osborne player thing because it was then the head man wouldn't throw guys under the bus. Tommy says the cable guy money. Hubster says the national sports media had a field day with us last night. On the upside, that means we're still nationally relevant, though I'm afraid we're becoming Minnesota, who, if you remember, was a perennial power. Hey, if you're in the media, it's good, according to some people. Yeah, it's rough. It is rough. Thoughts on Mickey taking over? When the powers that be make that decision, I think the kids like him. I think the kids respect him. I don't know the end game of it. I guess you would set a number if this, again, we're in an imaginary world. We're in full moon world. If it does happen, then you tell them, hey, you're taking over at X game. You got to have X wins. If you get X wins and they play hard in all of them, then it's yours. Could be definitely something that happened. Julie Lostro, another blast from the past. How does the time of coaching firing affect the kids? This is a sad day for Nebraska football. I'm sure that people will be thrilled and giddy. It's just sad. I don't think the timing affects it. They don't want to be out there and have it going like this. Maybe it's something that shakes it up. Carrie Anderson says, Tom wants to know why you're not wearing your Kool-Aid t-shirt. Thanks for entertaining us on a long drive home today. Carrie and Tom's son, Blake, plays for University of Northern Iowa. Former Skyhawk. Where did that one go from? Joey Hicks. There's Joey Hicks. Oh, sorry. Another one, Joe Hicks. Shout out to Joe. Another old school guy from back in the day. Johnny Dittmer says agree on the face filter. Very true. John is very old. And at one point in time, made questionable hair decisions. Outkicked his coverage in marriage. And, yeah, Has two awesome kids. Brian says the O-line pipeline needs to be established ASAP too. Much with all the traditions, that mindset probably needs to be changed. Like, again, you can talk about that life. The game will show me if you're about that life. It's the beauty of the game. Every Saturday, we get to go see what you're going to do. Maybe they come out, ask us fire against Oklahoma. Maybe it is great. Maybe they look like a different team. Maybe we're not having these same discussions. I would rather see you move into it, and I can see progress every week, than one great game, and then I got to question what happened in the other ones. Why did that change? Sarah says, I'm trying here. Sarah hates football. But this just isn't doing it for me. On another note, we had a temporary reprieve on Clinton. No. We're not reading that one. Christopher says, maybe there is a filter that makes Huskers. Christopher says, maybe there's a filter that makes the Huskers look better. Goodness. Yeah. In the end, losing will always suck. Losing in any way, shape, or form haunts me in any and everything that I do. Probably a little hard on myself in regard to losses. As I've told many of you, the biggest thing every day that makes me want to coach better and be better to the game of football, because the game of football has been great to me, is my season at Omaha Northwest, where I didn't win a game. I was part of a staff that didn't win a game. I was also part of a staff that probably cost those 40 hardworking kids a couple games. They deserve better than what we had to give. They deserve better. And that's why the losses always haunt me forever and ever. Very fortunate. The other one that haunts me is the loss to Lincoln Southeast, where my two nephews currently go to high school, which is a different story. We can do a whole show on that one. We had a great team, but we didn't win. Those things haunt me, motivate me to be better. Hopefully Nebraska, its staff, its players, its support staff, it's everybody can find that despising or that loathing nature of losing. Because losing is contagious. Losing will filter in, and it will stay, and it will become a stigma, and it will do all those things. It will be with you forever in eternity. And that's why you want to get out of that. Like you don't want to live in that manner. You can learn from losses. That's fine. And I don't think a loss is a failure. Sometimes you go out and you just against somebody better. There should be 120 guys that woke up today. Man, no more. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want it like this. We got to have a captain meeting. We got to have a players only meeting. We got to do things differently to make this happen. Because this ain't working for me. I did not sign up for this. I signed up to be a part of something that was going to move forward. We're going to rebuild. We're going to win games. We're going to continue to grow. And we're not doing that. And it pisses me off. I don't want to be this anymore. I want to be something different. I want to be successful. I want to talk about how we could have won by more instead of how we lost by. It's got to bother the coaching staff. Should have been a line of them with their key cards at 5 a.m. Hey, we got to change this. We got to switch around how we practice. We got to switch around how we prepare. We may have to go out and have trust falls. You lean over the ledge of South Stadium, I'm going to catch you. Right? If you don't catch me, I'm dead. But we got to repair whatever animosity is in there. If it isn't going right, we got to fix it. We have to do this together because there's nobody else coming to help you. There's a line of people for the world ready to kick you, and nobody coming to help you. Not a damn person. They don't care. They're having a good time with it. They're having a great time. But when you've been at the top and they watch Babylon crumble, everybody likes it. Now you got to figure out how you're going to rebuild it to get yourself back, baby steps, get yourself back relevant, get yourself back in the mix, and get yourself back into power. You can do it. And I don't need excuses. It's hard to recruit to Lincoln. It's this, it's that, it's blah. It can work. Text message I got says, Nebraska will be better when the blotter is more full during the weekend. No, it will not. That will not be helpful. We do not need that. To the fan base, keep your head up. Let the guys that are signing the checks do their job. We expect Frost and his staff to do their job. We also expect the guys that are in the positions of power to do their job as well. They will pull the trigger. They will pin the check. They will do what they need to do to hopefully help us begin to restore our beloved Nebraska Cornhuskers back to what they once were, or at least show us that they're on the path to get back to where they once were. Thank you guys all so much for joining us. Sorry about the technical difficulties early. We just cut out all the breaks. We just ran it through. We will be back next week after the Oklahoma game. Please follow us on the YouTube, on the Facebook page. The podcast will be out on Podbean, and we got our Twitter page. That's where all the information will be. Love hanging out with you guys on Sunday morning. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I needed the therapy today because as many of my patrons have made at the end of the game know, I have a very colorful vocabulary. I let a lot of them rip last night. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. We'll see you guys next week on Husker Hangover.